Hi, welcome to another episode of Watch and Learn. I'm Johnny Barfus, studio educator here at Handi Quilter. With me,
Kristina Whitney, another Handi Quilter studio educator.
Thank you. Today we are talking all things couching. We've done a few videos about couching before, right?
Yes.
But today we really want to deep dive a little bit more. We were going to show you a few things, right?
Yep.
So we're going to talk what kind of yarns you can use. We're going to talk what is couching, first of all, right?
Yep.
We're also going to show you especially getting started and stopping.
Yep, how to actually do the couching.
So that's a question we get a lot, is starting and stopping my couching, threading the yarn through, the foot, all of that. So we're going to go really deep into that today, okay? We're also going to talk about how to use rulers, doing free motion with couching, and using Pro Stitcher.
We are. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I love couching.
Kristina is the couching queen. So she is really, that's what I think. You're just so good at it.
It's just so much fun. I just can't control myself.
I love it.
So let's first of all explain to our viewers what couching is.
Okay, so what is couching?
So couching is actually taking a yarn and stitching it onto your quilt. But rather than trying to hold that yarn in place and stitch through the yarn, we are actually going to use a specific foot that is used for couching. And we have the couching feet kit. It comes with 3 different feet and they're in different sizes. So the size of the foot that you're going to use is going to be determined by what kind of yarn you're using. So let's show a couple samples. This one right here, I used couching just to cover up this raw edge.
All right, let's angle it up a little bit so we can get a good shot in there.
And get all my extra threads off. Yeah, so this is a raw edge quilt and I just used the couching to couch over that raw edge to keep it in place and just add a little extra loopy.
I like your little extra loopies.
Okay, Johnny, you've got a sample over there.
Yeah, can you zoom in here on this pillow that I did? So we're actually going to stitch this out a little bit later. You can see this pink fabric underneath here. This is a pillow I made for my friend last year for a gift. And I'm making one for our other friend, Lucille, who she loves pink. She loves all things pink. So this is just a simple pillow. I did the quilting first. So the background is quilted, just with the same color thread. So it kind of gives that texture. And I did this couching design over the top.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so we'll show you how we did that a little bit later on.
Okay. Here's a new project. This was kind of an experiment. It's a jean jacket, and I was just kind of playing around. I was using the Pro Stitcher designer software and working on digitizing things, and so I had made these words to go around the volleyball, and I decided to stitch it out on this jean jacket using a metallic yarn, so it gives it a little bit of sparkle. So play hard or go home.
So just wait, bring that back really quick.
Sorry.
Sorry, I just want to make sure we talk about this. So this is Pro Stitcher on the back of a jacket.
Yes.
Okay. Did you do anything specific to stabilize that or anything?
I actually didn't on this one. I attached the jean jacket directly to my leaders and just tried to get it as even as I could. I have heard of people loading stabilizer and attaching that to the leaders and then laying the jacket on top. I haven't tried it that way yet. This was my first one, and so it was just kind of trial and error and have fun.
I love it. Show us your next one, if you will.
Oh. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you a picture. So this is a stained glass window that I created using fabric. And if you look at that, it's kind of boring in a way. But then if you look at the finished product, when I've added the couching to it, it really makes the stained glass look appear a lot more. So you can see the difference between those two. So couching can add a lot of different textures, designs, but Johnny's got a really cool example here.
Yeah, I just love the way that black makes it pop on yours. So this one here is, can we zoom out enough for that? Okay, this was made by Helen Godden. She's one of our ambassadors from Australia. She made this specifically for our president, Darren Denny. And it's a mix of couching and paint, probably, right? I don't know how she did that fabric up top. But if you could zoom in a little bit, Kayla, on just on this yarn that she did, just, yeah, that barn is great.
You see the cabin here. I don't even know how many different yarns she used. I think a lot of it's a variegated, but just the texture, I mean, it created an entire picture there.
Yeah, it's amazing. So. And Helen made this specifically for Darren. Darren grew up in Montana, and so she made this as a gift for him, and it hangs in his office. So we went down and borrowed that this morning.
we like to borrow quilts.
Yeah, we have some amazing quilts here at Handi Quilter. So if you're ever in the area, we give tours, and you can come take a tour of the factory. We're back open for that and stuff like that. So we'd love to see you here and show you all the quilts that we have in our collection.
Excellent.
All right, thank you so much for that.
So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of what couching is. Don't feel intimidated by that last one that you just saw. That was an extreme example of couching. Helen Godden is amazing. So if you're a little bit unsure of how you feel, you can start out simple, and we'll show you some different things that you can do with that.
Yes.
First of all, let's talk about yarn.
Okay.
So there are lots and lots of different yarn types out there. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. This is just kind of your basic run-of-the-mill yarn. You can get it at any yarn store or your local big box store. The thing that you really want to watch for is that it has a consistent, I don't want to say density, diameter.
Diameter,
Diameter,
that's a good word.
So it needs to be able to go through the couching foot evenly. So if it's got chunks in it, it's not going to work quite as well. And I can show you an example of what not to use. Let's find a good spot on this yarn. It's kind of a...
That is a really cool yarn.
It is a super cool yarn. I would love to use this one, but you'll notice that, here, I'm going to fold it here so you can kind of see. The diameter of the yarn changes as you're going throughout it. So it's got a thick part here and then a thin part down here. So it's either this part's not going to fit through the hole of the couching foot, or this one's going to be so small that the needle going up and down isn't going to hit right into it and get it attached to your fabric. So try to avoid that type of yarn.
That's a tricky one. Don't do that one.
Yes. Okay. You can use little baby yarns. So this is a thinner one, but again, it's got a consistent diameter throughout. So that is a good one. This is another favorite of mine. This is the same kind of yarn that I used on that jean jacket. It's a metallic yarn, and it comes in different colors. So again, consistency throughout. So you might be saying, oh, this is a little bit boring. Let's see what else we can do.
Wow.
So look at this one. You can couch this. It is consistent throughout. Look at that. Look how fun that is. And here's one in a different variegated color scheme. So it's only going to couch and stitch down this middle part, and then you'll have these extra fluffies sticking up. So
have you used that in anything recently?
I haven't used it recently.
Okay.
I think I might have to play with it afterwards.
Yeah, I need to see a project in that.
Okay, I've got a couple here that we're going to avoid using.
Okay.
So we're going to zoom in really close on this one and see if we can see this. So this looks kind of like a chenille yarn, but if you look really closely, it's got this little tiny piece down the middle and then a bunch of fuzzy on it. That little tiny piece down the middle is going to be really hard for that needle to get stuck through each time it takes a stitch to stitch it down to the fabric. So I would avoid something like that where you just don't have that solid base.
Okay.
Another example to try to avoid, let's see if I can find the end on this one. Something that's kind of got a loose twist. So if you see this one, I can untwist all of those. So there's a chance that the stitch from your long arm is going to go in between those, and it's not going to actually catch that. and adhere it to the fabric. So anything that has like a really loose twist like that, I would avoid using.
Okay.
So Johnny, you want to bring that one over here?
Are you gonna? Oh, okay. You have your. So she has her blue one here. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
And then this is what I'm going to use today. This is white. This is just that thick chenille. I think this is a great one for people just starting out, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved using this as I've played with it. It works really well with our largest couching feet. We should mention that really quick.
Yeah.
So the feet come in 3 sizes, and depending on how big your diameter your yarn you're using, that's the size of foot that you want to use on the couching foot. So I'm going to use this white one today, and I have the largest foot in there, right?
Yep, so the largest foot is 3 millimeters, the medium's 2 millimeters, and the small is 1.5 millimeters. So, for example, this metallic yarn is really thin, so for that one I use the smallest couching foot, the blue one, the 1.5. So you'll have to kind of do a little bit of testing to see which foot is going to work best with your yarn. So the key to it is that you want to be able to get the yarn through the foot. If the yarn goes through super easy, it might be too big of a foot. If it's too big of a foot, you're trying to get it through a hole, and the yarn might come over to the edge, and then your machine is going to be stitching, and it's going to miss that yarn. So you need to have a smaller hole that's going to hold that yarn in the center so that when you stitch, you actually stitch right on that yarn. Yeah, so try the different feet sizes, do a little sample ahead of time to determine which foot is going to work best for that type of yarn.
Okay. Are you ready? Do you want to show them starting and stopping?
Sure. So let's pretend that I just barely put this foot on. You'll notice that the yarn is above the foot. It's not going down through that hole. So I'm going to needle down, needle up. As I move the machine away, I'm not going to pull on my top thread. I'm going to let it sink down in there, and you can see it right here now. And then you can see, oh look, there's pink and white. Normally we recommend using the same color top and bottom.
It's actually a very light pink.
Oh, it's a very light pink. But for filming, we want them to be able to see the difference. So you can see where those two connected together. I'm going to pinch right there at that connection and pull up. And that's going to pull that yarn down through the hole of your foot. So now I've got both threads underneath the foot.
Excellent.
Okay? So needle down, needle up, bring up your bobbin thread. Then you're going to take the tail of your yarn, and I'm going to slide it in between the 2 posts. Okay? I'm going to take the yarn, slide it down under the foot and away from the needle. Folding it in half, I'm going to hold 2 thread tails and 2 yarn tails with one hand. Okay? So you see I've got 2 yarns and 2 threads. I'm again going to needle down, needle up. Okay? This time I'm going to now hold these threads, let go of the yarn, and I'm going to pull on those threads as I move the machine away. And you can see it's pulling that yarn down into the foot. And now the yarn is through the hole of the couching foot. So then I just bring it back to where I'm going to start. I would do my tie off, and then I'm ready to start stitching.
Excellent.
So Johnny, I am going to make an adjustment here to your screen. When I do my couching, I like to increase the number of stitches per inch so that that needle's going up and down more often, and it's going to catch that thread or the yarn a little bit better. I'm going to make a nice little puddle right here with my yarn.
A puddle?
A puddle.
What does that mean? A nice little puddle?
Puddle. It's just puddling.
All right, she's making a puddle.
What word would you use?
I like puddle.
I am making a blob. Is that one better?
Puddle's great.
Puddle. Okay, so I want to have that yarn just sitting nice and loose. I don't want to be pulling on the yarn, otherwise it's going to pull to the edge of that couching foot again, and the needle's not going to be hitting right into it. Okay, so then I can start stitching. What am I going to stitch, Johnny?
Your favorite free motion.
Well, remember I have gears on, so it's not going to be very smooth. We'll do some.
So do some geometric.
So you can see that the foot is just pulling that yarn right through for me. If you pause at the points, it gives it a couple extra stitches and helps keep that corner. So how does that look, Johnny?
That looks really good.
I feel like I'm making an arcade game or something.
Oh,
Pac-Man.
yeah. A Pac-Man, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to pretend like I'm done with my design.
Okay.
There are different ways that you can do this. I'm going to show you the way I prefer. I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip off that yarn.
Okay.
So now I've got this little tail sitting here that isn't very pretty. So I am just going to start my machine again and I'm going to stitch right over what I already created.
Oh,
See
look
how
at that.
stitched that tail right down there and you can't even tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so at that point then I could pull up my bobbin thread and trim it. And
That looks great.
Ran over that so I can trim that too. I'm going to come back to my beginning. You've got this tail here and you can just trim that off as well. Okay?
That looks awesome.
So that's how you pull up the yarn to get it started.
Uh-huh.
That is how you do your little tie-offs, a couple tips with the stitches per inch, and also how to stop at the end. Johnny, it's your turn.
It's my turn.
Yeah, let's show them what else you can do, because it doesn't have to be free motion.
It doesn't have to be free motion. If you have watched any of our videos, you know I love pillows. You know I love a quick and easy project. And I do like this couching. I love it. It's great. I haven't done much with it, I'll be honest. So it's been fun to learn and use it as I go. So I have my Pro Stitcher design loaded. I'm going to pull up my bobbin thread.
Sometimes you do things so quickly that my brain just doesn't keep
up.
up.
I know. I go under the needle and back up and holding the thread taut. Oops, I don't have a good handle on that one.
Also, sometimes when you're trying to get the yarn through the couching foot, that first little part is going to be a little bit tricky because you have 2 layers of yarn that you're trying to get through that hole. If your thread tension is really loose, you're not going to get a good grip to be able to pull that through. So you'll have to maybe play around with that for a little bit.
And I just broke my bobbin thread, so I'm just going to pull it out a little bit.
Hey, it is light pink.
This is light pink.
So while he's fixing that, I'm just going to mention that you can use rulers with the couching foot as well. So you do want to be kind of careful that you go slowly. The couching foot doesn't have that high profile like the Surefoot, so you want to make sure that the ruler doesn't hop over that couching foot. But you can definitely use any of the rulers and couch right around it. So it's another fun thing you can do with those couching feet.
There we go.
So I'm glad that you had problems with that, Johnny.
Are you?
Not that it was that you had problems, but so that our viewers realize that sometimes you do have to play with it a little bit to get it to go through. And it gave us that opportunity to throw out some tips.
Yes. Okay, I got it started. I trimmed my threads. Now I'm just going to hit run on the Pro Stitcher. I'm going to puddle some yarn.
You're not going to make a blob?
I'm not going to make a blob, I'm going to puddle. So that does it. I have the pull up selected. I don't really need to because I already have it pulled up. And this has pause delay on. I'm just going to trim these one right here. Okay, then I'm going to hit resume.
And now we're all going to sit here mesmerized, just watching it move.
I'm just kind of letting that go, holding on the yarn so I'm not holding too tight, right?
Yep. It's making me sleepy.
Sometimes that the whir of the machine, the hum of the machine as it goes, if you're like sleepy tired, it can definitely lull you to sleep.
It's like watching a campfire.
It kind of is, huh? Then I've come to the end. I'm just going to trim and go back a little bit to tack that down. Oh, I didn't pull my bobbin.
That's okay.
It should be okay, right?
So this is another great opportunity. Sometimes when the thread gets twisted, it'll make kind of a knot and it will get stuck. So it looks like yours might be stuck.
I think mine might be stuck.
I think it might be stuck. So when that does happen, I take my scissors,
Okay.
and because it does happen, and I try to cut off as much of that yarn at the top. It's almost like doing surgery, and you got to remove as much of that knot as you can, and then you'll be able to get it through.
I am glad that I created this on camera.
Johnny planned this as a learning opportunity
Yes,
for
I
you.
totally did.
So maybe snip a little bit more off.
Like here,
Yeah.
above.
Yep, I try to get as much off up above the foot. And again, this is the way I do things. Other people might have other tricks, but that's what I usually do.
All right.
So while you're doing surgery,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk real quickly about other things that you can do with the Pro Stitcher and couching. So if you look behind us here, we've got this quilt that is an edge to edge, but we use the couching foot. So super quick and easy gift idea. It's just a whole cloth underneath, and then I just used a different contrasting yarn color and just couched that edge to edge over the entire thing. And so now I have this great quilt ready. So you can use the couching to fill in motifs. You can use it to cover raw edges. You can use it as edge to edge. There's all sorts of things that you can do with the couching feet. Pro Stitcher, rulers, free motion. I mean, it's the, what am I trying to say, Johnny? The possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless. Meanwhile, I have freed our machine from the knot.
And you'd already finished, so it's fine. It's
Yeah.
just perfect that way.
It's fine.
If you do get a knot and you have to restart, just do it the same way you did at the beginning. And you don't really see those starts and stops a whole lot, so you can do a little tie off to
Let's show
cover it
that.
up.
Can we get in there close, Kayla? On this one. Let's see. Okay, that looks good.
Okay.
So this is my little start and stop place, and like you can't really even tell.
And you could even get really, really wild and crazy and get another color of pink yarn and go back and fill in all of the space in between.
Oh
I mean,
my gosh.
there's so much you can do.
There is so much you can do.
But keeping it simple sometimes is the best way. So
That's my old motto. Keep it
personal
simple.
preference. That's
Keep
my
it
saying
simple.
for everything. So
Okay. Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
I think that we have pretty much covered it.
All right.
I'm
so
sure we'll have questions, which we love.
yes. Any
and-
questions? Put them in the comments, definitely. Thanks so much for watching our Watch and Learn this week. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video if you haven't already, and have fun quilting this week.